Welcome back, South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. Ashlyn now back here with you. The season is coming to a close, and of course, in Flyers fashion, they are making it ever so interesting after an 8-game winless streak where we were hearing talks of quitting and Torts not being the coach anymore. We thought this was going to end in a disaster. They come out and beat the best team in hockey, the New York Rangers. Now they just don't beat them. They dominate the game and go back to the way we've seen the Flyers play great at times for most of the season.
Yeah, it was. It makes no sense, but then again, in this league, it makes perfect sense that you can't. Although a lot of teams are having trouble beating the so-called bad teams in this league, but to come back with this game when they really needed it because it was so ugly against Montreal, to come back and go to Madison Square Garden and regain your focus, get everything back together again. And it's still kind of a long shot, I guess. But we've seen time and time again where this league, it goes down to the final day of the season. But Ashlyn, it's like, everybody says maybe you should have elimination games like the NBA is going to do, or play-ins or whatever it is. But basically, the Flyers have now been playing elimination games, it seems like, through weeks, and they don't get eliminated.
They don't. And that's why it drives you nuts to think if they would have just played like this in 2 games in that 8-game winless streak, they would be so set in the playoff standings. We would be cruising, getting ready for the playoffs. They had to make it interesting, and it is absolutely a long shot. But John Tortorella was very honest in his post game after the New York Rangers game, basically saying, hey, we just live to fight another day. That if they would have lost that Rangers game, they would have been dead in the water. There would have been no reason to even watch the final 2 games this season, whereas now everyone is going to be watching those 2 games.
Yeah, but the problem in this league is the 3-point games. And so, there's a difference between blood in the water and dead in the water. There's been blood in the water for 4 different teams here, but nobody's been dead in the water. And that would have been devastating. Just mentally, it would have been devastating had they went up to Madison Square Garden and not been able to get anything out of it. I mean, 2 points out of it, regulation win, multiple goals in this thing. So many good signs, but not a whole lot of runway left to get everything righted.
No, but it shows that they have some momentum going into these massive 2 games to end the season, both at home at the Wells Fargo Center. And the standings, I'm sure, will change by the time everyone is listening to this because they change every single day. But as of right now, the Penguins are in that 2nd wild card spot. The Islanders are in that 3rd Metro spot that we've seen the Flyers be in for a good bit of this season. Islanders, 89 points. You have the Flyers, Detroit, and Caps, all with 85 points. So 1 point behind the Penguins for that 2nd wild card spot.
Yeah, 1 point behind. And you look at it and you realize, well, maybe the Islanders may have an injury coming up, but it gets frightening when you consider that their fate might be in the hands of a couple of guys named Ovechkin and Crosby. So that's kind of daunting. However, you're coming home, and that's really big, coming home against the Devils team that, doesn't have Jack Hughes, and they're out of it. So, I mean, it gets some energy, presumably from a crowd. And it's just crazy topsy-turvy. I'm wondering if, we're looking at 2 games. The only thing that seems to make sense at this point is even when the Flyer season is over, regular season, they still might not be done. We could be waiting for a game the next day with Crosby playing with their fate in his hands. And that's an awful nightmare to think about.
It is. Everyone's going to be watching, holding their breath. And while Tuesday's game, looking forward, will be huge against the Capitals, last game of the regular season. And we've always said that game is going to decide everything. But first, they have to handle business on Saturday. And a way to do that, we're most likely going to see Sam Ersson again in goal on Saturday against the Devils. And he was excellent. It was so good to see him finally stand tall, have that confidence come back. And you could tell by his teammates hugging him at the end of the game, they were happy to see it.
Yeah, happy to see it because they had to have it. And, much as the Flyers played badly in front of them, I mean, if you're going to get anything here, Ersson, he was one of the MVP. He's a top 3 MVP candidate through most of this year. And because his game slipped, they couldn't make up for. Like, he made big saves early in games, and that's what he was doing when he was carrying the team, giving them a chance to get through some rough spots, and then they come back and they could get the few goals that they manage, they could get, knowing that their goal was secure. And that was, of all the things that happened, obviously it's the points that was the most important. But of all the things that happened in New York, it was Ersson playing well that was the most promising, that they can get on. You said 2 games left. Fact of the matter is, they haven't won back-to-back games since February 10th and 12th. It was a 4-game win streak. That's a long time. Yeah. And in order to probably make the playoffs, they're probably going to have to win 2, absolutely 3 games in a row to finish this season.
Yes, they will. And then they're going to need some help from some other teams to lose some games. So a lot of things are going to have to go the Flyers' way for this to work. But let's say even if they don't make it, if they can carry this performance into the last 2 games, and you have someone like a Travis Konechny clicking, that bad taste in your mouth. I mean, if anything, it proves all that storyline we've heard all week that they were quitting. They shut everyone up with that yesterday, and that was so needed to end the season.
Yeah, it was. So it didn't look like they were just surrendering. Like, the big storyline with this team is there was no white flag, and Konechny, was the guy that really carried the battle flag for so long. And to have him, come and get a goal, that was just, he's always had that energy, we call him the electric factory, that he gets going. And that was huge, because that's what you wanted to see. You wanted that storyline from early in the season, from throughout the season, that this team was hard to play against. If they were going to be beat, they were going to be hard to beat. And that just disappeared in Columbus and Montreal. So that is, if you're looking at, no matter what happens, they've kind of regained, like Tortorella called it, dignity after that Montreal game. That was sort of regained. But Ashlyn, it goes away real quick. I mean, you're playing the Devils, and everybody, whether you want to admit it or not, looks at it and says, well, the Devils, they're playing you got to beat the Devils. Well, yeah, but you look around, man, this league, even when you win, it's 1 goal and 1 mistake. And that's why it's so critical to have a guy like Konechny going, and really to have Ersson going good.
Yeah, and I won't lie, I'm worried about that Devils game, just because I go back to that Stadium Series and the pounding they put on the Flyers. And this is this great new rivalry we're seeing, kind of like the new Flyers-Penguins rivalry. And you can just tell there's so much bad blood when they play. I don't foresee this Devils team falling over saying, oh, well, we're out of it, we're not going to play hard against the Flyers of all teams.
No, they won't do that. And that's the other thing in this league. You can't count. If you such a thing as counting on a team for laying down and surrendering, it doesn't usually happen. Number of times I've seen late season games where the supposed underdog comes in and wins, because you owe it to, like the Devils, believe it or not, owe it to the Capitals and owe it to the Penguins, just like the Islanders will owe it to the Flyers in the last game of the season, if it comes down to that, to play hard and to play to the whistle, to play to the finish line. And that's what they'll do. Now, they're going to be missing a key element with Hughes not playing there, and that's a big minus, but their goaltending's improved. And when you look at rivalry games, when you schedule these games late in the season, there's nothing you'd like better than to wipe out a division rival and wipe out their playoff chances.
Yes, the NHL does this on purpose, that the last 2 games of the season, we're seeing the Devils and the Capitals. But I'd rather it be this than, say, in the season against Columbus or Montreal, because the Flyers have proven one thing all season long is they rise to their opponents. And maybe they need a little extra motivation to get up in games. And this is, I would think, all the motivation you need the last 2 games of the season.
Well, there'll be added motivation too, because you're going to have a bunch of people in the stands that want to see a playoff game. And, a home game, they get an early lead. They start rolling against the Devils. That place will be, these are people, their season's on the line too, not just the Flyers, their season, to be able to see postseason hockey. So they really should. I mean, you get a quick start in that game, and you really will have a crowd just roaring to get you going through the last couple of games of the season with one eye on the scoreboard.
Big time. Yeah, you have so much riding on this. And it's weird when you think of everything that goes into right now. The full Flyers organization is teetering on, are they going to make it? Are they going to not? And I was talking to someone in ticket sales, and they're like, we don't know what to do. Like, do we release this ticket package? Do we pull it back? Are we jinxing it if we don't do it? And it's like, every side of the business is holding their breath, kind of ready, but kind of not, because no one knows what to expect here.
Yeah, well, as season ticket holders, I mean, we got the thing a couple of weeks ago, we're gonna if you opt in. So most season ticket holders are on board. It's the other ones like waiting to see what do I do here? Am I wanting to get the best tickets right now to see a couple of playoff games, at least a couple of playoff games. So I mean, there's a lot. This is the players can't think about it, but man, when you really look at it, there's millions and millions of dollars on the line, and plus just a good feeling about the future. I will say, whatever happens, if you play these games hard and it's like you played through most of the season and drag it in, however you drag it into the end, you just cannot have what happened in Montreal and what happened in Columbus anywhere near that happened in the last 2 games of the season.
I agree. You got to give it your all, and you just got to see what happens. Like Tort says, they live to fight another day, and they're going to have a lot of fighting to do this weekend. But it's going to be awesome. We're excited, and thanks for tuning in to South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. We will see you early next week.